Good morning, dear children. Let's continue chapter 4 Patol Babu Film Star. I hope you have understood the chapter which we discussed yesterday and also you have done question answers and book exercises. So, children, now let's start with the chapter. We are on para 24. Naresh Dutt came up to him with tea in a small clay cup. We are about to start. Here you are, sir. The hot tea will help your throat. Your turn will come shortly. Children, we have already read that Patol Babu reached at the given venue on time and he was feeling little nervous. Then Naresh Dutt came up to him with tea in a small clay cup. He offered tea and told him that the tea will help his throat and also informed him that his turn will come soon. Then Patol Babu asked, if you'll let me have my lines now. Here Patol Babu is asking for his lines to learn for the dialogue. Your lines, oh, I say Shashanko, said Naresh Dutt to a young fellow in short-sleeved shirt. This gentleman wants his lines. Why don't you write them down on a piece of paper and give it to him? Here, Naresh Dutt calls a boy named Shashanko, uh, who was a young fellow in short-sleeved shirt, and asked him to write down lines on a piece of paper and give it to Patol Babu. Shashanko tore off a page from the notebook, scribbled something on it, and handed it to him. Patol Babu glanced at the paper and found that a single word that had been scrawled on it. Oh! Shashanko torn a page from the notebook and scribbled something. Scribble means write quickly and carelessly. Scribbled something on it and gave it to Patol Babu. Patol Babu glanced. Glanced means looked at the paper and found that a single word had been scrawled. Scrawled means written carelessly on it. And the word was only oh. Means the dialogue for Patol Babu was only one word, that was oh. It is an exclamation. Patol Babu felt a sudden throbbing in his head. Was the whole thing a gigantic hoax? Gigantic means very big, and hoax means a trick played on someone to make fun of them. Had they wanted to make a laughing stock out of him? How could anyone be so cruel? He said in a voice hardly audible, I find it rather strange. Just oh, is that all I have to say? Patol was disturbed after seeing that the one word dialogue was given to him. He was uneasy. Patol felt that all of them were making fun of him and that the shooting was a trick to fool him. He was a quiet man who never harmed anyone, and these people had got him so far to the middle of the city only to laugh at him. He thought that they all were cruel. Patol Babu was disappointed and had complained in a low voice. In the line we read that hardly audible. Hardly audible means in a low voice, which was not audible by the people. And it was strange that he had only one word dialogue. Oh, what are you saying, Dadu? Said Shashanko. You think that's nothing? Why? This is a regular speaking part, a speaking part in a Baron Malik film. Do you realize what that means? Why you are the luckiest of actors? When Shashanko heard Patol Babu speaking something in a low voice, he reacted sharply and said that Patol's role was a regular speaking role, and that too in a Baron Malik film. He said that it was a big thing and Patol could not realize what does it mean. He said that Patol was lucky as more than 100 persons had acted in the film so far and had nothing to say at all. A young man, Jyoti, came up and put his hand on Patol Babu's shoulder and said, "Listen, Dadu, I'll tell you what you have to do. Chanchal Kumar is a rising young executive. He is informed that an embezzlement means misuse or theft of money belonging to the employer, has taken place in his office and he comes to find out what has happened. He gets out of his car and runs across the pavement towards the entrance. Just then, he collides with an absent minded pedestrian. That's you. You are hurt in the head and say, "Oh," but Chanchal Kumar pays no attention to you and goes into the office. The fact that he ignores you reflects his extreme preoccupation. Preoccupation means when someone worries about something so much that they do not pay attention to their surroundings. See, just think how crucial, how important the shot is. Now, if you could please stand back. Here, we come to know that a young man named Jyoti kept his hand on Patol's shoulder, addressed him as Grandpa, as he was aged, and started describing the scene in which Patol had to perform. He said that Chanchal Kumar would be playing the role of a young businessman who rushes to his office on being informed that his employees had cheated him. As he walks hurriedly, he bumps into a pedestrian played by Patol Babu. Patol Babu hurts his head and says, "Oh," but Chanchal Kumar does not pay attention as he is in a hurry. Then Jyoti tries to convince him by saying that he is a part of a very important scene. Patol Babu moved back and stood waiting in the shade of a shop. He glanced down at the paper in his hand, cast a quick look around to see if anyone was watching, crumpled the paper into a ball. Crumpled means crushed the paper into a ball and threw it into the roadside drain. After listening Jyoti's word, Patol Babu went back and stood in the shade of a shop. He looked at the paper in his hand, looked around him to see if anyone was watching, and as no one was looking at him, he crushed the piece of paper which had the word "Oh" written on it and threw it in the drain on the side of the road. A faint memory was stirring in Patol Babu's mind. First, understand the meaning of the phrase "a faint memory was stirring." Patol Babu was slowly recollecting an old memory. Words of advice given in a deep, pleasant voice by his mentor, by his guide, Mr. Pakrashi. Remember one thing, Patol, however small a part you are offered, never consider it beneath your dignity to accept it as an artist. Patol Babu was reminded of his days as a stage actor and the words of his mentor, Mr. Pakrashi, were repeated in his mind. Mr. Pakrashi was a fine actor and was down to earth. Down to earth means very polite and cooperative. He had guided Patol that no role was small and that he should honor the opportunity that he got. Children, turn on the next page. As an artist, your aim should be to make the most of your opportunity and squeeze the last drop of meaning out of your lines. A play involves the work of many, and it is this combined effort that makes a success of the play. Mr. Pak Rashi guided Patol that no role was small and that he should honor the opportunity that he got. An actor must put in his best to make the play, which involved the effort of many people, a success. Now let's read para 33. Was it really true that there was nothing in the part he had been given today? Oh, 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 Patol Babu uttered the word over and over again, giving it a different inflection. Inflection means change in tone or pitch of the voice to put emphasis or stress on a word. Each time, after doing this a number of times, he made an astonishing discovery. The same exclamation means sudden feelings, when spoken in different ways, carried different shades of meaning. A man, when hurt, said, "Oh," in one way. Despair brought forth a difficult kind of "oh," while sorrow brought out yet another kind. In fact, there were so many kinds of O's, the true actor could make a mark with this one single syllable. Now, Patol Babu reconsidered his role and dialogue. He felt that the role and the single word dialogue were not worthless, that he should refuse to perform. Patol Babu spoke the word "oh" a few times and he realized that there were many different tones in which he could speak it. Each tone reflected a different meaning. Patol Babu realized that the word "oh" could be spoken in different ways to indicate different feelings like being hurt, sad, or unhappy. Further, the word could be spoken quickly, it could be dragged into a long "oh," it could be shouted out, whispered, spoken in a high or low pitch, could be started in a low pitch and ended in a high pitch, and vice versa. He was amazed at this discovery, and he could write a book on the word which had a single vowel sound. Now he felt that his initial disappointment was pointless, as his dialogue was full of meaning and was worthy for him. He could display his acting skills through this valuable dialogue. Patol Babu cleared his throat and began to practice speaking this one syllable dialogue in various ways. He was called in exactly after half an hour. He felt a keen anticipation. Anticipation means excitement he is feeling because he is looking forward to saying his dialogue. And excitement. It was the feeling he used to have 20 years ago, just before he stepped onto the stage. Patol Babu's turn came after half an hour. He was no longer disinterested, rather, he looked forward to performing well. He felt the same feeling 20 years ago when he performed on the stage. An idea had occurred to Patol Babu while rehearsing. "Excuse me, I was thinking if I had a newspaper open in my hand, then perhaps." Patol Babu represented another idea which had struck him while he was practicing. He asked Baron Malik if he could have a newspaper in his hand and look into it at the time of the collision. Baron Malik, the director, cut him short by addressing a bystander. "Do you mind handing your newspaper to this gentleman? Just for this one shot. Thanks. Now you take your position beside the pillar. Chanchal, are you ready?" When Patol Babu was asking for newspaper from Baron Malik, His words were interrupted by Baron as he asked a person standing nearby who was holding a newspaper to give it to Patol for the shot. Then Baron thanked the person, told Patol to stand by the pillar, called out to Chanchal Kumar for the shot, and Chanchal Kumar said, "Yes, sir." "Good. Silence. Start sound. Action." And then Baron Malik screamed, "Silence. Start," and he gave instructions for the action. Now let's read the last para of this page. Clop, 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 wham. Patol Babu saw stars before his eyes. The hero's head had banged. In this line, the word clop clop is written 5 times. That refers to the 5 steps taken by Patol Babu. So here we come to know that Patol Babu started walking, took 5 steps, and collided into Chanchal Kumar with a lot of force. Here it is written, saw stars before his eyes. It is an idiom which means to take a blow to the head that is hard enough that you see specks of light that resemble stars. Children, now turn on the next page. Banged his head against his forehead, and an excruciating pain robbed him of his senses for a second. Robbed him of his senses means banging his head against the actors made Patol Babu almost faint. But the next moment, by a supreme effort of will, Patol Babu pulled himself together and, mixing 50 parts of anguish means suffering caused by pain, with 25 of surprise and 25 of irritation, cried, "Oh!" Then, after a brief pause, he resumed his walk. So, when Patol Babu collided into Chanchal Kumar with a lot of force, the impact of the collision was so strong that Patol Babu lost his vision for a while. Chanchal's head had hit Patol's forehead, and Patol felt intense pain. He became unconscious. But Patol's willpower came into force. He stood up despite the pain, spoke "oh," mixing the feelings of pain, surprise, and irritation in the ratio 50 to 25 and resumed walking. The director screamed "cut" as the scene was over. So here we come to know that Patol Babu was a wonderful actor, and he spoke a single word "oh" with 3 different emotions and feelings: pain, surprise, and irritation. "Was that all right?" asked Patol Babu anxiously, stepping towards Baron Malik. Patol Babu was curious to know if he had performed well and asked the director about it. "Jolly good. Why, you are quite an actor." Baron Malik replied that Patol Babu was an actor indeed, and then resumed work. "My God," said Chanchal Kumar, massaging his head. "You timed it so well that I nearly fainted." Chanchal Kumar massaged his head where it had hit Patol and said that Patol had timed it perfectly and that he had almost fainted after the collision. Patol Babu breathed a sigh of relief. A feeling of complete satisfaction swept over him. He had done his job well. He was happy that after all those years, he was still able to act so well. It was true that he needed money very badly, but What was 20 rupees when measured against the intense satisfaction of a small job done with perfection and dedication? Here we come to know that Patol Babu was quite happy after doing his small role perfectly, and he had a great feeling of satisfaction. He thought that they would pay him hardly 20 rupees. He did need money, but the amount of 20 rupees was nothing as compared to the immense satisfaction he had got by performing well. He did not want to undermine his effort by taking the small amount of money in return for it. Patol was satisfied with the great amount of satisfaction he experienced by putting in his best and performing well. 10 minutes later, Naresh Dutt went looking for Patol Babu and found no one there. That's odd. The man hadn't been paid yet. What a strange fellow. After about 10 minutes, Naresh Dutt was looking for Patol Babu, but he was nowhere to be seen. He thought that Patol was a strange man who had left without taking the money. So, children, after discussing the whole chapter, we come to know that sometimes satisfaction of doing the work perfectly is more important than money. Though the job is small or big, we should do it perfectly. And after doing the given task perfectly, the satisfaction we get is much more than anything in this world. So, children, read the chapter thoroughly, listen to the video again and again to understand it well, do the given assignment, and I'm giving you some grammar exercises also side by side, and later on I'll explain all the exercises and the rules. But now you try to do your best, you try to solve all the exercises given, and do your best. Have a nice day.